Hi again. For this week's devotional, I'd like to talk to you about prayer. Prayer is a gift to us because it allows us to enter into the very presence of the one true God and to interact with Him. So, how do we pray? I'm glad you asked, because the disciples of Jesus ask Him the same question. In Matthew 6, Jesus tells us, His disciples, pray like this: Our Father who is in heaven, uphold the holiness of your name, bring in your kingdom, so that your will is done on earth as it's done in heaven. Give us the bread we need to live for today. Forgive us for the ways we have wronged you, just as we also forgive those who wrong us. And don't lead us into temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. Many of you will recognize this as the Lord's Prayer. Jesus begins by telling His disciples, pray like this. I have come to understand the Lord's Prayer as an outline of what my prayer is supposed to include. So let's unpack the Lord's Prayer over the next few minutes. Our Father who is in heaven is the first part. Jesus gives His disciples and us permission to call the God of heaven, the maker of the entire universe, to call Him our Father. Jesus probably used the Aramaic word Abba, which translates to English as dad or daddy. In recognizing He is in heaven, we also acknowledge transcendence, meaning beyond us, and we acknowledge His divinity. The next words are, uphold the holiness of your name. Some of you know this as hallowed be your name. In this phrase, we are acknowledging that God's name is holy, and we are asking God to cause His name to be revered and treated by everyone, everywhere, in a very special way like no other name, because there is no other name like His. Next, we ask God to bring in your kingdom so that your will is done on earth as it is in heaven. This has two meanings. For the present, we are asking God to grow and increase His church in number and influence. And for the future, we are asking Jesus to return to this earth. And I hope it comes very soon. Next, we say, give us the bread we need for today. In this, we are acknowledging our dependence on God's provision for our needs. And this would include things like food, water, shelter, clothing, security, etc. I also like to take this time to thank God for His kind and generous provision of these kinds of things over my lifetime. Continuing, we say, forgive us for the ways we have wronged you. Many of you will know this as forgive us our trespasses. And we need God to forgive us because we disobey God's commandments all the time. Every day we fail to love God with all our heart, all our soul, and all our mind. So with these words, we ask God to forgive us for the ways we know we messed up today, and for the ways we messed up and didn't even know it. Continuing, just as we also forgive those who have wronged us. With these words, we remember those others who have offended or caused us harm, and we acknowledge before God that we are willing to forgive them. In this, I like to ask God to forgive those who have wronged me, and I ask Him to give me the ability to forgive, even when I don't want to. The final part is, don't lead us into temptation, but rescue us from the evil one. With these words, we ask God to protect us from the evil one, who is the one who tempts us to sin. I like to use this part to ask God to remember His words given to us in 1 Corinthians 10:13. But God is faithful. He won't allow us to be tempted beyond your abilities. Instead, with the temptation, God will also supply a way out so that you will be able to endure it. So that's how I've come to understand the Lord's Prayer. but there are many other ways to pray. The important thing is that you remember to pray every day. It's how we grow close to God and enjoy His fellowship. Thanks for listening. God bless.